everyone, today I'm going to present my final project, The Economics of Discrimination. First, let me introduce what is discrimination. Discrimination means that people of similar economic characteristics experience unequal economic outcomes as a result of non-economic factors, such as race or sex. Discrimination occurs in the marketplace only if employers, employee, or customers have discriminatory preferences and if such preferences are widely shared. In this research project, I will provide an overview of the economics of discrimination from two perspectives: price discrimination and how discrimination in the marketplace affects the entire economy. Part 1. Price discrimination. Price discrimination is a selling strategy that charges different customers with different prices for the same product or service. In a more common form of price discrimination, the seller separates customers into groups based on certain attributes and charges different groups a different price. Price discrimination is widely used in a variety of industries, includes premium pricing, coupons, discounts based on occupation, retail incentives, financial aid, and gender-based discounts. There are three types of discrimination: first-degree discrimination, second-degree discrimination, and third-degree discrimination. Let's start from first-degree discrimination. First-degree price discrimination is alternatively known as perfect price discrimination. In a perfect business world, companies would be able to eliminate all consumer surplus through first-degree price discrimination. This strategy takes place when business can accurately determine what each customer is willing to pay for a product or service, then sell the good or service to the customer at the exact price. In other words, the firm is able to charge the maximum possible price for each unit, which enables the firm to capture all available consumer surplus. Let's make an example of ice cream. We can tell customers' willingness to pay for ice cream from the graph. At $2, consumers are willing to buy 4 ice cream. And when the price drops to $1, consumers are willing to buy 4 more, which means they are willing to buy 8 ice cream. The maximum price consumers are willing to pay is $3, and the maximum quantity consumers are willing to get is 12 ice cream. It can be concluded that consumers' willingness to pay increases as the price of ice cream decreases. For a certain merchant, when its pricing is $1, the consumer buys 8 products. The consumer pays $8 and the merchant gets $8. We should say that consumer is on the advantageous side at this point, since customers' willingness to pay is greater than $1 in quantity 1 to 7. And the remaining can be calculated the area of triangle ABC, which is equal to 8, which means that the seller should theoretically be able to get $8 more. If the seller wants to get this $8, it needs to set different prices for different quantities, such as stipulating that consumer buy 1 is $3, but the second is $2.50, and so on. Finally, when the consumer buys the 8th, it sells at $1. In this way, the seller will be in accordance with the consumer's willingness to pay to squeeze the consumer's surplus all clean. And here's the question: why did ice cream vendors not to do so in real situation? It's because first, it is not possible for the vendors to obtain willingness to pay each consumer accurately. Second, the vendor sells ice cream, which is a highly competitive product. meaning that the vendor is in a perfectly competitive market with a large number of similar products in the market. These vendors can only be the recipients of the market price, but not the price setter. Therefore, first-degree price discrimination is rarely employed, although it allows the seller to capture the highest amount of available profit from each sale. Now we come to the second-degree price discrimination. It involves charging a different price for different quantity. For example, when Sam is traveling in Paris, he wants to buy some models of Eiffel Tower as souvenirs to bring back home to his colleagues. He came to stall to ask the price. The stallholder told him $20 each. He asked if he could get a discount if buys more. The stallholder promises to charge him only $15 each if he buys 10 models. Sam readily bought 15 souvenirs. This second price discrimination is also used by warehouse retailers, such as Costco and Sam's Club. It can also be seen in phone plans that charge a higher rate after a determined amount of minutes are used, as well as in companies that offer reward cards to frequent shoppers with a discount on the future products. And lastly, third-degree price discrimination. It also known as group price discrimination, involves charging different prices depending on a particular consumer group. Students, military personnel, or older adults. This pricing strategy is often used in movie theater ticket sales, amusement park tickets, and restaurant offers. In this way, consumer groups that may not be able to willing to purchase a product due to their lower income can be captured by this strategy in order to increase company profits. Cineplex, a Canadian entertainment company, is a classic example of a firm using a third-degree discrimination strategy. This company offered the same movie sold at different prices depending on the age demographic. The price for the child between age 3 to 13 is the lowest. The price for general between age 14 and 64 is the highest. The senior price, age 65 or above, is in the middle. In addition, the company charged different prices on different days. Tuesday is the cheapest, and the weekend is the most expensive. And the industries that use price discrimination. Airline and other travel companies always use differentiated pricing. Airline companies usually assign specific capacity to various booking classes. Travel companies sell their products and services marketed to specific social segments. Also, price will fluctuate based on the time of buying a ticket. If a traveler plans ahead, the ticket tends to be cheap. Price discrimination is also very common in the pharmaceutical industry. Drug makers charge more for drugs in wealthier countries. For example, drug prices are highest in the United States. European countries pay only 56% of the same prescription drug. Price discrimination can maximize a firm's profit. The firm is able to turn consumer surplus into producer surplus. It can also improve the survivability of small firms. Small firms can survive better if they offer different prices with the demand changes. By charging different prices, sales volume would increase. Firms can benefit from increasing production capacity. Also, there are some necessary conditions for successful discrimination. First, the firm must have market power in order to become a price maker. The firm must have a degree of monopoly power to be able to employ price discrimination. Second, the firm must be able to recognize the elasticity of demand. The price discrimination strategy would work only if the firm realized the elasticities of demand. Lastly, the firm must have the ability to prevent resale of the product. In other words, firms need to make sure the consumer who purchased the good or service at a low price is not able to resell it to others at a higher price. And now we come to part 2, discrimination in the marketplace. Discrimination occurs when people in the marketplace with similar economic characteristics experience different economic outcomes because of their sex, race, or other non-economic characteristics. If a black worker whose skills and experience are identical to those of a white worker who receives a lower wage is a victim of discrimination. A woman worker denied a job opportunity because of her gender is the victim of discrimination. Gary Stanley Becker is an economist at the University of Chicago, and he received the 1992 Nobel Prize in Economics. He did a pioneering research on the economics of discrimination. He pointed out that if an employer refuses to hire a productive worker because of skin color or gender, that employer loses out on a valuable opportunity. In other words, discrimination is costly to the person who discriminates. Let us further explore Becker's model by examining labor market discrimination against black workers. Assuming there is no discriminatory preferences or attitudes exist, we suppose the supply curve of black and white workers are identical. They are a single right curves as the curves shown. Suppose further that all workers have identical marginal products and they are equally productive. In the case of no racial preferences, the demand for workers of two races would be D. Black and white workers can both receive a wage W per unit of labor. A total of L black workers and L white workers will be employed. Now suppose that employers have discriminatory attitudes and cause them to assume black workers are less productive than white workers. In this case, employers have a lower demand for black than for white workers. BB also pays black workers with a lower wage WB and employ a few of them LB instead of L than they would when there is no discrimination. As illustrated above, racial prejudices by employers discriminate against black workers result in lower wages and lower employment opportunities for black workers compared to white workers. Discrimination may also stem from the biases of other groups in the economy. One source of discriminatory prejudices is other workers. For example, if white workers prefer not to work with black workers and require extra wage for doing so, such prejudices would raise the cost to the firms for hiring black workers. Firms will respond by decreasing the demand for black workers, and the wages for them would fall. Another reason for discrimination against black workers may come from customers. If the customer of a firm are unwilling to deal with black employees, the firm may demand fewer black employees. In fact, consumers' prejudices would reduce the revenue that firms receive from the output of black workers. In conclusion, the exact dynamics of how discrimination affects the economy varies depending on the form it takes. When intolerance prevents individuals from fulfilling their talents, it often has widespread, long-term negative economic effects. Similarly, most consumers and businesses have become accustomed to price discrimination because price discrimination sometimes can benefit both sellers and buyers. Thank you for watching.